Okay, I'm here with Pootie. Pootie! This is Pootie. Nice, or thanks, that's her marker word. In this video, I'm gonna go over some tips that you can use if you have a dog that has separation anxiety. Now, separation anxiety, there you go. Separation anxiety is essentially a panic attack the dog goes into from a lack of practice of being home alone. Most of us sit on the couch and the dog is leaning against us or has his leg across us or a chin not resting or on our feet. They're literally physically in contact to us. That's 100% access to us. Then when we get up and leave, we make them go from 100% to 0. That is the biggest range there possibly is. And this is why dogs freak out, because they have no practice of being alone. So a great thing to do is actually set up a dog bed in front of your TV and condition the dog to stay on the dog bed while you sit on the couch 3 feet away. That is practicing being somewhat apart from you. I can't remember if it was this client or the client from earlier today, so that the dog follows them into the bathroom. Don't let the dog come in the bathroom with you. That's practice as well. Now, basically, a couple of quick other notes on separation anxiety, and then I'll get to the exercises. If your dog soils your bed, I had one client, like, my dog was pissed that I left, got in the bed and took a dump on my bed to send me a message, not do it. Dogs are not that sophisticated. Dog probably felt insecure, went to the place where it feels most calm and comfortable, and since the dog sleeps with that person, that's the bed. Went to the bed, but it wasn't enough. I still feel insecure, and I lost control of my bowels. If your friend loses control of their bowels, you'd never make fun of them, well, unless they're a good friend, then you make fun of them about that all the time. But for dogs, if the dog loses control of their bowels and you come home and punish or get upset or angry, it's gonna only make it worse. Some dogs will howl, which is one of the things that Pootie does. Some dogs will drool, some dogs will chew. I had a St. Bernard that went through a second-story window and was on the top roof of the house. They had to get a crane to take it down. I've had dogs break their teeth out of kennels. The Guardians here had somebody who recommended a kennel. A kennel is a restraining device. If you don't condition your dog to like being in the kennel, they're just gonna freak out in the kennel. And when they're freaking out, they're not in a balanced thought processing state of mind. They're in a panic. And we're in a panic, we're not listening to things properly. So you can't really teach your dog when you get to that. What we wanna do is we wanna kind of create situations where the dog can practice a behavior or element of a behavior that is associated with the end goal of what we're looking to achieve. In this case, we're looking to achieve her being calm and relaxed while she is home alone. But going from being here and leaving is a big step. One of the things that I've learned is to basically teach a dog to stay. That way we can actually have them practice being apart from us. At first only an inch, then 2 inches, then 5 inches, then 10 inches, so on and so forth. And eventually have them stay on the dog bed while you watch a TV or while you eat a meal or cook something or whatever it is. And the dog is practicing being somewhat apart from you, and you make it very progressive and gradual so that it gets more and more. Now, in some cases we can do what's called extinguishing the behavior, fix it for good. In some situations, we can just make it better because it's so ingrained and so deep. Instead of the dog freaking out, chewing the walls, maybe the dog drools a little bit and is not uncomfortable, is not howling. Now, when you teach the stay, most people teach the stay, they go stay, 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 as they walk away, and then they say come. So when you teach the dog to stay, there's actually 3 D's to stay: duration, distance, and distraction. I used to do it for duration only and try to get up to 5 minutes. But I find it's very boring for the dogs. So I've switched it over. Now I like to do it for distractions first. And I build in distance and duration by gradually, progressively doing it. So we'll bring Pootie over and I'll show you how we can teach your dog to stay. Then I'm gonna show you some tips on how you can actually help your dog, condition your dog that you leaving your house is not the end of the world. Pootie, come. It's like, you gotta show me the money. There we go. All right. So we have to come up with a stay cue or command word, we call them cues now, and a release word. The Guardians here have identified, I believe, break is the word they want to use. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put her into a sit, and a dog can sit or lay down. It can stand, whatever it's comfortable with. So your dog starts sitting and then lays down, just start it and lay down. So what I'm going to do is say stay. No, we don't want to shake. Stay. I pull my hand back to my chest and I make a move, distraction. And then I say the marker word, thanks, and give her a treat. Then I say, stay. Another distraction. She disengaged, so wait, nice. And I give her a treat. So now I'll do it a third one. Now don't reach for the treat like I just did. Have a treat pouch, don't reach for them until after the act. So we're saying the marker word at the conclusion of the duration. So now I say stay. Nice, or thanks, and then I give her a treat. Well, when I first did it and said stay and went like this, that was 1 second. When I did, that's 2 seconds. When I did the weird thing that I just did there was about 3 or 4. Now, it's not always linear like that. And sometimes if you work up to like 40 seconds to make sure the next one's not always 50 and 60 and 80, sometimes throw in a 10. Throw a 5-second one. Throw an easy one in there. So the idea is and be careful of doing these with your hands because your dog's gonna kind of look at your hands. So I usually like to flare my elbows, rub my shoulders. You can even blink, close your eyes if the dog's looking at your face. When we get done with the stay, we need to let the dog know we're done. Now, when we say stay, do whatever it is, and release the dog. The release word should never be okay. That is currently her release word, but since that is a very commonly used word, I usually recommend something more unique. I believe the Guardians chose break. All right, so when I get done, to put in context that we're done, I'm gonna say break. That causes the dog to get up and move away, so that is an indication we are done with the stay. So I'm practicing 5 stays, and then I say break, I toss and say break at the same time, then she gets up and gets it. I could say the marker word when she gets up to move away to say that's what I want, but if I'm not gonna say stay, break, stay, break. We're gonna do a bunch of stays in a row and then break at the end of it. Okay, so you wanna work yourself up. Now, one thing that's important to understand for dogs, if I only practice the stay right here in this position, if I reverse and I'm there and she's here and facing this way, she won't be able to do it. Dogs do not generalize well. You need to practice a lot of variety. I should also practice me kneeling, standing up, sitting on the chair over here, practice in the bedroom, practice over here, practice over there on the deck. Now on the deck it's gonna be harder if there's people outside. So don't raise the level because that's distractions and other distractions and we can't control those distractions. I can control what I'm doing here. Look like Popeye. But so you want to make sure that you're setting your dog up for success. She's a low energy dog, but if you have a high energy dog, exercising it first, giving it 10 minutes rest, and then practicing can make a big difference. Okay, so you want to work your way up and do it all around your place and gradually get to the point where you're like jumping jacks for 10 seconds and then giving her the treat. And she's practicing you being silly, and I just sit here, and at the end of me sitting here, I'm now relaxed, and I get rewarded for doing so. Now, eventually, once you have a good stay, then you can have her stay here while you guys eat a meal here, or stay where she is and cook a meal here. She's practicing being alone. She's practicing some self-control. She's practicing being in control and not anxious while you are not in close contact with her. Now, when we come and go, I usually recommend don't say, are you going to be okay, Pootie? I'm going to go to work and you're going to be okay. You'll be okay. Make a big deal out of it. We give her all this love and then we leave and she's missing all that love and attention she just got. So when you depart and leave and return, keep it very nonchalant. I don't even say goodbye to my dogs. I might pet them a little bit and just walk out the door. Make it a non-productive issue. When you come home, if Pootie's very excited, I usually kind of also wait for her to kind of calm down. Then sometimes I'll ask the dog to sit or pet her when she becomes calm. And so this way we're not making her overexcited. This mouth that you can see, this is my dog's mouth Quest, his mouth is open in this. We see this as a smile. So the dog's mouth is open because they're excited, they're trying to breathe more, breathe heavier and let liquid evaporate off their tongue. We see a smile and say, you want to go for a walk? You want to walkie, and we wonder why they can't listen to a walk. Well, we just jacked them all up on Mountain Dew and they can't listen. So you want to be calm and relaxed because that's when we're going to achieve and be the most relaxed and perform the best. Okay, so now what I actually want to, something else when it comes to separation anxiety is dogs recognize our departure ritual. If you wear a uniform, then you put your uniform on, the dog sees you only put that on before you leave. You only put me in the kennel before you leave. You only pick up your keys before you leave. So if I see you sit there and you're wearing your uniform and then you grab your purse and your sunglasses and you know your whatever else and then you say goodbye and leave, the dog starts seeing, oh, she's wearing her uniform. Oh, she's sitting in the place she puts her shoes on. She put her shoes on, she grabbed her purse, she grabbed her key. Oh my God, I'm being left alone. And they get themselves all worked up. So for desensitization, we might do something as simple as just like, and then put them back down without getting up to leave. Pick up my purse, put it on my shoulder, put it back down, and so we're doing these out of context of leaving and desensitizing the dog. Make a list when you guys leave. There's 2 guardians here. The guardians might make a list. When you're getting ready to leave, you sit down and just take notes. Okay, he sits here. And just go through your normal literature, try not to think about what you're doing, and then you get to write down, and you're watching the person as well as the dog. She starts moving around a little bit faster, or pacing, or yawning, or licking her lips for these. These are indications she's uncomfortable with that, so we need to practice that one. And eventually you can practice picking up the keys and my sunglasses and then put them down. Eventually I might pick up my keys, my sunglasses, my purse, and put them in my dress or whatever it is, and put them down. And once I get all of them together, then I might do all those things and walk to the door, not even touch the doorknob, come back and sit down. The best time to practice this stuff is when you're not planning on leaving. If you practice and then leave at the end, it's still the same thing we're talking about. So make a list of all the triggers that are associated with your departure and desensitize the dog on all of those things while you are practicing, having the dog practice staying in different situations. Stay, go to the loo. I know the loo's not there, but stay and then come back and then release her. So I did a good job, I stayed, and then you released me and I got a reward. I feel good about this experience instead of freaking out and panicking, wondering whether or not you're gonna leave. The last stage, and I have to get up for this one, Pootie. And I don't move very well when I'm sitting on my knees like that because I'm 50. All right, so what I'm actually doing is, when you do this, you can use a couple different stages. Now, I'm not her guardian, so she really doesn't care if I leave or not, but I might actually come over here. Nice. Or thanks is her word. And then I give her a treat. And at first I might only take one step away. And sometimes you leave from there, sometimes you depart from where the camera is, sometimes you depart from over there. So the dog gets used to seeing you do it from over here. And eventually you get to the point where you get all the way to the door, and if you see her, watch her ears. So that sound is an indicator that we're about to leave. So that you saw aroused her up a little bit. So I might come over here and go like this. Thanks. What am I thanking her for? Not panicking and not rushing the door. She's sitting there. Now, I'm not her guardian. If it's you guys, she's probably going to follow you. So when you're doing this, you say, and you're not telling her to stay. The stay is just to help her practice. It's not incorporating this. You could technically give her a stay, but you're not going to say stay and leave your apartment, come back and release her. That's going to probably produce an auto stay. So I might say, I put her in a sit, take a step back, nice, or thanks, then give her that treat. And she seemed pretty relaxed. Next time I take 2 steps back, come back, say thanks, give her a treat. And eventually 3, did you get that one? No, that one had skin on it, sorry. Then eventually 3 steps, 4 steps. But again, if you're at 5 steps and she gets up, starts coming towards you, back up to an easier level, go to 4 steps and practice that one 5 or 6 times, maybe 2 practice sessions until she's comfortable at 4 steps, then go to that 5th step. Well, and eventually you're gonna work your way up all the way where you're walking over here, and then you're doing this, come back and nice, say nice when you get back to her, and then give her the treat. Do this stuff as noisy as you can. Nice. Actually, I'd come back here and say thanks, and then give her that treat. The last stage is what I'm going to do here. So I come over here. Thanks. She stayed in place. She was calm. I didn't tell her to stay, but we've gradually conditioned her, because this might take a week or 2 of practice before you can actually get to the going out the door. So the first, I had one dog where if you went like this, the dog would get up. So what would we do? We went like this. Thanks. Thanks. Then eventually, thanks. Break it down into micro steps until the dog can do what you want. When you're actually leaving, the first time you leave, turn around right away, come back and give her that treat. If you guys, well, these guys have security cameras all the way, so you don't want to try to rob these folks. So if you're watching through a security camera, you can watch when you go outside. What is she doing? Is Pootie pacing? Is she whining? No, she's hanging out. Eventually, we're going to stay outside the door for 2 seconds. Then come back and give her a treat. 3 seconds, 4 seconds. But if she's panicking and working around, she's practicing panicking. So eventually you work up to the point where you're outside your door for 15 minutes. Your neighbors are like, what are you doing, weirdo? Why don't you go in your apartment when it's nice and comfortable? Put a little chair or a pillow out there. If she starts to whimper, you got to come in right away. Now, I'm not going to come in and reward her for the whimpering, but that's an indication that was too long. But if I leave and we're like, okay, we're pretty good. Let's go get some coffee real quick and we'll come back. If you're gone for 19 minutes and 18 minutes, she's fine, and the last minute she panics, that's what she practiced doing. Remember, the end of your repetition is the most important. So the idea is, boop. I saw you flex your tail. All right, we'll give you a little incentive that way. There we go. She's not a big fan of people she doesn't know. We're still working on a relationship. I reached for it first, didn't I? That, I think, is a little submissive, so I'm not going to reward that. Not that I don't like that. I don't want to reinforce. She doesn't need to be submissive to me in order for me to pet her. Now, it could be an offering of trust. I don't know her well enough to read the two, but I'm interpreting this a little bit more of a submission thing. And I don't want to be submissive around me. I want to be comfortable, confident. I might offer a treat like here. So she gets up and out of that particular position rather than me reinforcing that. Now, point of fact, you cannot reinforce emotions. So she's fearful and you pet a fearful dog, you're not going to make it more fearful. The dog's lunging at someone, they're throwing treats at the dog. That's actually not reinforcing the lunging. The dog's in a hysterical state of mind, like I mentioned earlier. It's like giving somebody a foot massage or a shoulder rub to try to help them feel relaxed. So the idea for this is to keep these short and frequent. I would have both of you guys practice. Now, when one of you is here and the one of you leaves, that's probably not going to trigger it. So you might have to both leave or practice when only one of you is here. But keep a chart of your progress and how fast you're going. And just an Excel sheet and just write the date and how the times are. And then, again, every once in a while, maybe you work up to 15 minutes. Well, every once in a while, walk out, wait 5 seconds, turn around, come back in. So she keeps her on edge. She kind of quite knows how long you're gone. But if we go it slowly, we've desensitized her, we've taught her how to practice being alone. By the time we get to this stage, she's pretty relaxed to that concept, and she gets rewarded at the end as long as she's calm, and she's calm because we don't push and ask for too much too fast. Pootie. We want everybody to see your face. We call this camera presence. Pootie. Isn't she a beauty? This is my buddy Pootie, and these are some tips and tricks you can use if you have a dog that might have some separation anxiety.